Good morning, Trinity. So, we're doing something a bit different today for our music message. Instead of creating a piece of music for you all, we're actually going to look together at a bit of hymn history. Before I get to that, though, I just have to say thank you so much for the messages and the emails and notes and cards. As most of you probably already know, I tested positive for COVID-19 a couple weeks ago. I am feeling so much better. It was not a lot of fun, but I was very fortunate that I did not have a very serious case. My husband and my daughter also became symptomatic shortly after I did, but their symptoms were even more mild than mine. So we're very grateful and very eager to be done with this quarantine. So, for today's music message, we're going to be talking about a hymn that we'll be singing this coming Sunday, one that I think you should all know quite well. Right now, we're actually approaching the end of the church calendar year, right? So, Advent 1 will be our Happy New Year Sunday. But in these last 2 weeks, we'll be focusing a lot on the theme of thankfulness. And I know with it being 2020, we are so eager to skip ahead to the Christmas carols, and half of us have probably already pulled out our Christmas decorations. But of course, it's important that we don't entirely skip over this season. I have to admit, I am a little biased. I am a Thanksgiving baby. My mother literally went into labor in the middle of a Thanksgiving feast almost 32 years ago. So I've always loved this time of year anyway. It always involved, for me as a kid, a birthday celebration with a huge turkey feast and an epic church Sunday for Christ the King. So this Sunday, as we begin our 2 week celebration of Thanksgiving, we'll be kicking off worship with a contemporary version of All Creatures of Our God and King. The text of All Creatures was originally written by St. Francis of Assisi in the early 13th century. That's probably a name that you've heard before. His story is actually pretty interesting. He lived so long ago that much of what we know of him can really only be treated as legend more than fact, but what we do know is he was born to a wealthy family. He went the military route at first, but on one of his military expeditions, he was actually captured and imprisoned. For over a year, he suffered captivity and struggled a lot with a serious illness. When he was finally freed, he realized how much the past year of hardship and suffering had completely changed him, and he made some huge life changes, much to the chagrin of his father and the rest of his family. He joined the church, he gave up all of his worldly possessions and wealth, and he decided to live a completely penitent life. He virtually lived a life of poverty into his old age. Toward the end of his life, he lived in a little reed hut in the garden of a convent. He was almost completely blind by then, and he could barely endure the brightness of daylight. So, safely tucked away in his little hut, he wrote his testimony, and it said that he would even preach and sing to the birds that hung out in the garden just outside of his hut. And it's around that time that he wrote the words to All Creatures of Our God and King, or as it was originally known, the Canticle of the Sun, or Song of All Creatures. And I always kind of chuckle when I sing the first couple lines of the hymn, particularly when I reach the line, "Thou burning sun with golden beam," and I just can't help but imagine little old man St. Francis grumbling at how bright the sun is and singing to the birds and treating them to join him and praising God. I also love the journey the hymn has gone on since then. William Draper eventually translated and slightly paraphrased the text in 1910, and around the same time it was set to a tune by one of my favorite composers, Ralph Vaughan Williams. And it's been sung in churches by countless numbers of humans for over 100 years. Even now we have a contemporary version by David Crowder, and that is what we will be singing this Sunday morning. So that's probably a nice dose of nerding out to hymn history with your director of music. I hope you all have a wonderful and safe rest of your week. I look forward to meeting with you all in worship this Sunday, whether it's in person or through our live stream, and I definitely cannot wait to sing this hymn with you all Sunday morning. See you soon.